Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 20 Minute Moat podcast by Volume.io. Here we talk with senior thought leaders and practitioners in the space of customer support to understand how customer support is evolving and how is tech enabling them to build delightful support experiences.
Fasih, when we are talking about these teams, right? One of the most important metric, and you delve a little bit on that, was around analytics and using data to close the feedback loop, right? So, I mean, with given your experience and your breadth of the experience, right? How do you measure effectiveness when it comes to customer support, and what metrics do you generally track?
Yeah. Um, Effectiveness is basically, looking at, how good you've been with your customer, right? And did the customer actually, get delighted, or was he just satisfied, or was he not even satisfied, right? I think that begins from the fact that, how easy was he able to connect with us, right? So the first and the primary metric that you would want to drive is the speed of connect or the speed of response, right? And how soon are you able to connect to your customer the moment he says hi to you, or the moment he wants to actually dial in and he wants to speak to somebody, or maybe he drops an email, and how soon can you actually connect and start we're giving resolutions to it, right? The speed of response becomes the primary question and the primary metric, and the second most important metric would be the speed of resolution, right? While you've started the conversation or while you've given a response, but have you actually resolved that particular customer's issue? And the speed of resolution then becomes the most important thing. And the third important thing was, what was your quality of interaction? Did the end user really feel connected with you? Did he find your response to be very insightful and solving his problem? I think this becomes really important.
Got it. And we've been talking about a lot of internal focused data about team structure and analytics. Now let's talk about the end user, right? When it comes to the customer, right? Do you think customers are changing their mindset when it comes to customer support? Are they trying to reach brands on new different channels? You touched upon this when you talked about social and ORM teams, but I knew the ORM teams is quite some time back, right? So like, and you've been leading experienced teams across. So what are your thoughts on this?
I was just, carefully observing the trends in terms of, how people are actually shifting from conventional channels to non-conventional channels and, self-serve and automated channels, right? I think that shift pre-pandemic was anywhere between 15 to 17%, slowly. But in the last year and a half, right, we've seen a rapid increase. And to just quote one number, which is from a very reliable source, is that the usage of self-serve, which was at about a 40% pre-pandemic, has now moved to about a 78%. Right. So which means that, a lot of the users are now coming on self-serve. Now, there are two reasons to it. One, that, definitely the organizations want it that way, and they want to have leaner staff. They want to have lesser cost, and they want it that way, and they are not providing too many conventional options, but non-conventional options, which is self-serve, and wanting the user to actually come through self-help and then only try to connect with a human being.
Got it. Understood. And you know, uh, we talked about teams, and we talked about how the engine is, but how has this shaped up over the years? I mean, what you told us right now, right, about the experience team, about the analytics team, and about the operations team and the coaching team, right? How has this shaped up? So how have your support teams grown and evolved in the last few years?
Right. I think this is a very interesting question, right? Um, See, what has happened in these support functions is earlier it used to be that we'll take a call and on time and respond to a particular user and speaking to them very politely, and then giving them a turnaround time saying that, hey, I'm going to actually check with my relevant team and come back to you in the next 2 days. this was actually acceptable. But now, things have changed, and consumers are also demanding, and the organizations have also realized that it's important to move to be faster and faster. Right. With this, what has also happened is that now it's about if there is a particular query, the resolution is just given there on spot. Right. It's about just giving instant responses, A, and B, giving instant resolutions as well. Let me give you an example. I was with a startup where one of the biggest queries was people wanting to know, why I didn't get a cashback. I was eligible for it. Okay, so initially in the survival mode where we were just taking volumes, maybe on calls or direct messages, we used to always tell them that, hey, you know what, I'm going to check with my backend team and come back to you, and take about a day's time, go back to the backend team and fetch the right answer, come back and tell them that, hey, you know what, you don't qualify for this, and this is the reason for it. Right. But now what is happening is, with automations, the query coming in through the self-serve is actually hitting a bot, and the bot is actually going and fetching that information at the back end, whether he's eligible, he's not eligible. If he's eligible for the cashback, then processing the cashback instantly and telling him that this money is going to hit his account by this time. And if he's not eligible, state those ABC reasons why he's not eligible. Now you see the transformation, right? From a conventional setup, just taking calls and being polite and trying to, solve problems, to giving instant resolutions. And I think this is the way, things are transforming.
And like, I'm just amazed, like, the way customer experience has evolved, and, how strategic it's become, right? And, and I would like to pick your brains on this one question, right? When it comes to best practices, right? And, best practices to build delightful support experiences, what used to work before and what works now?
Okay, interesting. I think half of it gets answered by my previous response that I gave you, and I would like to add on to it. Earlier, the best practices would have been, how would you actually keep moving, query, responses or resolutions from a L3 bucket to a L2 bucket and L2 bucket to a L1 bucket, basically empowering the very first team, which is, facing the customers, to be able to respond and resolve those queries. And that was the key focus. How could you build better and better processes? But now, it's about, how do you ensure that you don't need a human being, to actually respond? So there's a very nice saying: no customer service is the best customer experience, right? So you don't need, somebody to actually solve your problem. So I think the way things have evolved, and in the way forward, people will also realize is that experience doesn't start when it is coming to you after this problem occurred at the customer's end. Experience begins right from the first click of the customer using your product, right? And if you get that set properly, right? And I would like to quote that organizations should work on two specific, ideologies. One on the customer journey mapping, in terms of, how does the customer feel from the first click to the time that he finishes a transaction. And, that needs to be recorded at every step. You need to have proper interventions. You need to have proper checks and balances to see how you can keep evolving and getting better. So you're actually getting better on the experience part. And secondly, you need to also look at, what is your, ticket journey mapping. How does your ticket actually flow within your customer experience team? What are the, various touch points that you have, and, how could you actually, make it better and seamless? How could you actually remove redundant processes and make it really, really faster and better for the end users? I think this is the key thing that I would like to mention.
Right. And when it comes to we talked about how customer support has been reimagined and reshaped because of customer needs, and the way the brands are also growing and the way it is changing strategically. uh, how in your experience has is there a need, is there a way to reimagine the evolution of customer support now as of today? Or I mean, are we okay with the way it is going, or do you feel that there is a need to reimagine the way? And do you feel that pandemic was like a inflection slash turning point for organizations when it came to engaging with their customers? Do you feel it accelerated their need to say that, okay, I need to adopt something in the terms of where I can engage my customers across channel types for support?
Yes, I would strongly agree with that. First of all, a lot of the conventional businesses who have been with conventional CS setups will slowly start moving into much leaner customer experience teams. They have realized by time that this has been one of the biggest cost in the organization. Having bigger number of agent count and managing large setups. This has been one of the things. And the second thing is that they also understand that there's a larger set of people who are using the products and services, which are millennials, and they would want faster responses, faster resolutions, and they really do not want to actually, stand in the queue, wait for the call to get connected and speak to somebody and speak their heart out. The time is changing, and a lot of people who are actually getting into this smartphone way of getting responses and getting the problem solved. So I think the shift that is going to happen slowly, and I think most organizations should start seriously thinking, if they haven't, is to move into what is more self-serve based, automation based, and AI based, right? I think this is one key thing. Has the pandemic actually, pushed that particular, evolution much faster? The answer is absolutely yes. I think, there are two significant reasons. One, definitely because a lot of the organizations wanted to work with, absolutely lower margins, and they do not want to actually, run into negative profit lines, and, definitely wanted to make some money, and is to reduce the cost. And if you have to look at reducing the cost, it means that you will have to work on cutting the edges wherever is possible, and specifically the customer experience team. I think these two things, one, trying to actually bring about better profits and reducing the cost. And second, definitely, which is the effect of it, that you want leaner teams, and you do not want to invest more on scaling up teams with linear, with growth in the business. If the business is growing, you don't have to be growing the CX teams accordingly. Right. I think that's an important thing, and you will see that change happening. And this has largely got impacted by the pandemic.
Got it. And I was going to ask you about how automation and conversational AI have actually enhanced, have helped enhance the quality of customer support. But I guess you've already answered that with your question. Right. How we are getting leaner and how to make it. But I mean, if you were to condense that, how would you say that automation and say conversational AI can actually help a brand enhance their customer support? How would you condense that into a very short, meaningful answer for our listeners?
Absolutely. Let me quote an example, right? This particular instance where we moved a particular query type on bot automation. Just before moving on to bot automation, the experience scores were about a 55%, right? Just then, we moved and the bot started answering these queries. The score dropped to about a 40%, right? And we continuously re-engineered and kept working better and better on this. And after a lot of fine tuning, a lot of bot training, we were able to slowly inch up, and we were able to bring the score to a 55 in about 3 months. And then eventually in the subsequent quarter, we moved it up to a 62%. right? Which is like fantastic,
Yes.
right? So it's definitely possible. You just need to be investing your right time, and you're investing on the right kind of a tool and a solution. And you need to have a vision saying that using these resources that you have, you'll be able to move and get better on the experience side, right? And I think the AI part is also playing a bigger role. The AI tools available now will actually tell you what kind of a response will actually be satisfactory to a particular user based on the kind of query that he's coming with, right? So those are things that will really play, and it should get better and better as we move forward.
And you talked about how having a vision with tech and having the right tools basically can help you achieve that vision, right? Now, what is that one tech you would want in customer support today or customer experience team today? Like you wanted, okay, I need this now.
I think if the tech can actually help me quickly summarize how good or what is the value of a particular user or a merchant in a very, very few sentences. It's as good as me telling Siddharth, you've been with our company for the last 5 years, and you've done so many transactions, and we feel great about it. And we also see that you do this kind of a shopping, which we are very, very happy about, and we want to continue your relationship, and you're absolutely valuable. So you're actually connecting very well with the customer, and if you don't, then there's a disconnect there.
I can keep talking to you on and all, Fasih, but one last questions, right? How do you think bots and automation in the customer support industry will evolve in the coming next 2 to 3 years?
Yeah, I think it will evolve. More and more players will start using bot automations, and that is one thing. The second thing is, you would see that the usage of bot within any organization who's already started using bot automations will significantly keep moving up. I remember of a startup which just started with, say, about 5% bot automations and slowly kept inching up. And at a steady state, it was about a 60% plus of those queries actually, getting done. But then, moved up to about 80% bot automation. So there are two things. One, more of those organizations adopting bot automation. Second, the ones that have already adopted or who've started the journey will see that they are increasing the usage, right? And definitely they would definitely look at an experience factor as the primary thing, how better the experience is getting. Second is how better the costs are compared to the past. And finally, they will also try to see, how analytics are coming from there, and which can actually help the sales team boost up, growth. So I think this is how, and this is what will happen in the way forward.
All right. Thank you so much, Fasih, for being with us today. I learned a lot on this podcast, especially about, what are the kind of analytics and how is the team structuring, and, how you should have a vision with the tool. You cannot just have a tool, or you cannot just have a vision. They have to go hand in hand together. Thank you so much for being there. And thank you to all our listeners for listening in today. We'll be back shortly. And once again, thank you so much, Fasih.
Yeah. Thanks, Siddharth, for having me on the session. And I definitely enjoyed your questions. And I hope the audience feels nice about listening to these responses.
Definitely. This is
I just want to leave you with a note that, the organization that I work, Cashfree, has seen massive growth. We have seen about 130% growth just the previous year. And we are with over 1 lakh merchants strongly, doing business with us. And, we are a great company, and, I'm proud to be here. And at the same time, I'm working on setting up, the best ever, support teams. That is
I'm very bullish on Cashfree.
Yeah. Nice to hear that. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening in to our episode today. We'll be back with another interesting, thoughtful, and insightful episode shortly. In the meanwhile, you could check out our previous episodes on whirlloop.io/podcasts. If you're looking to build delightful support experiences, do reach out to us on hello@whirlloop.io. Till next time, this is Sid from whirlloop.io signing off.